Gotcha on your phone.
You checking your Zoop? I'm trying to make a wombat baby. Welcome to the BS Review. Today we're talking about SENSE8 Season 2. For those of you who haven't seen the show, it's about a group of 8 different people from all over the world who suddenly find themselves linked mentally, physically, and emotionally, and the secret organization that is trying to hunt them down because their kind are seen as a threat to humanity.
Since we're talking about Season 2, we're going to be talking about a lot of spoilers. We're going to be discussing stuff from Season 1 and all the stuff that happens in Season 2. So if you haven't seen the show, I recommend you go watch it before watching our video. Season 2 picks up right after Season 1 for all the characters, so they're still being hunted by BPO. The character Will just rescued Riley, but he was seen by Whispers in the process. And in this show, once you make eye contact with another SENSE8, then they can hop in and see where you're at, feel where you're at all the time. One of the biggest parts of Season 2 is we start to encounter a lot more SENSE8s and different clusters. So you start to encounter a lot of different characters who are just like our main characters. And you also learn a lot more where the SENSE8s came from and where they originated from.
So one of my favorite parts of this show is how much character development goes into everyone in the SENSE8 group that we follow. And one of my favorite characters is Alito. I just think he has such a cool storyline. And for those of you who haven't watched in a while or haven't watched it and still decided to watch all the spoilers, Alito is the SENSE8 who is from Mexico, and he's an actor, a action movie actor, and he is also gay. And so in the first season we see him accidentally be outed. Well, not accidentally, I guess it was maliciously, but he is outed to the world basically. And so we pick up Season 2 with him having to confront that and having to confront the fact that he was outed without his consent and how he handles that, and his career just goes into a whirlwind from there. One of my favorite episodes involving Lito's character development was the gay pride parade in Sao Paulo, and I just think that was really cool. And the fact that they filmed at the actual pride parade was just really fun to watch. And like, you can look up online like all the photos that people took of them like filming while they were there, and it was just really cool.
Sun's plot is one of the bigger stories of Season 2. It follows her trying to get out of jail and get revenge on her brother for killing her father, and for trying to have her killed several times. Throughout her story and her quest for revenge, it's pretty cool to see how the entire group comes together to help her, and that everyone in the cluster has different opinions about whether she should kill him, whether she should try and get justice and put him in prison. And it's pretty interesting to see how she struggles with this internally, and as she comes to a decision, they'll kind of come to a decision behind her. Especially because in one of the final scenes when she sees her brother and is trying to get to him, the two characters who are most against her just killing him, Will and Kalla, end up immediately just jumping in to help her however they need to get to him to accomplish her goal.
And on the note of Kalla changing her mind about Sun's motivation and what she thinks of her getting revenge on her brother, you see a lot of character development with Kalla as well as with everyone else, but she's very much a pacifist, and she doesn't like violence. She's very much against it, and you see her discovering some things throughout the season, especially about her husband who runs this pharmaceutical company, and Kalla is now working in this pharmaceutical company, and just finding out some less than savory practices going on within it. And when she confronts her husband, she just has to come to a lot of realizations about her marriage and what's going on with that, which ultimately drives her to Wolfgang. And personally, one of my favorite parts of the season was the Kalla Wolfgang romance coming to fruition. And as someone who really doesn't enjoy romance in media very much, because I think it's really poorly done a lot of times, I really, really liked how they pulled this together.
And Wolfgang, while he's doing his romance with Kalla, is also having to deal with the fact that he encounters another sensei in another cluster with the character Lila. And she is bad news. He is basically trying to just live his life, let things calm down after everything blew up in Season 1, and he literally blew up with a bazooka, and he, after killing his uncle, is trying to lay low and let things simmer down. And Lila shows up on the scene and is in his head and constantly trying to, like, sex him up, and it's very weird.
It's very creepy.
It's very creepy, but she is trying to take over all of the gangs in Berlin, and she sees him as her main threat to do so. And so his whole storyline is he's constantly, like, talking to Kalla, and then Lila walks up and, like, puts a gun to his head in his mind and, like, pulls the trigger and freaks and interrupts them, or while he's trying to have a meeting.
And what's interesting about Lila showing up in Wolfgang's head while Kalla is there is the fact that Kalla and Lila cannot interact. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not one who enjoys romance very often, but this show, I just like all the romances in it. There is not a single one between the clusters that I do not absolutely love. And Nomi and Amanita's relationship is just pure gold, and they are precious, and I love them. And Nomi's character develops a lot in this season as well. And you see her interacting with her family a lot, which we've seen her interact with season 1, but that had to do a lot with her transitioning from male to female and the drama that went down with that, with her mom being very against it and very not in her corner. But this season we see her interact with her family more in the fact because her sister's getting married, and her sister has always been on Nomi's side, has always been there for her from the time that she was Michael to the time that she became Nomi. So Nomi's sister asked her to be a maid of honor in her wedding, and obviously this pisses off her parents, and her parents do not want that happening. And her sister just puts her foot down, and I think it's really cool that she does that and doesn't fold to the family pressures. And the speech that Nomi gives at the rehearsal dinner is just fantastic. I thought it was...
Sorry.
Yeah.
It was so cute.
Yeah, it was one of the best speeches of the entire season. And I feel like we have a good big one each season, 1 or 2 each season. And this one was great. I really loved how it was done. And then we also see at the end of the season, Amanita proposed to Nomi. And then I just think it was really cute. They did this scene because, you know, they're just sitting in their bedroom, like in their underwear, just hanging out. And Amanita's like, just kind of has this moment where she kind of spills her guts and her feelings and goes and gets this ring from the cupboard. And Nomi's just like, no way. And so she pulls out a ring from under the bed. And so they basically just both propose to each other in the same moment. And I thought it was adorable.
Nomi also interacts the most with Will and Riley with the overarching plot by constantly having to hack things for them and help them because she's the computer whiz of the group. And Will and Riley are at this point just on the run from BPO, and throughout the season you see them kind of shift from being on the run to becoming the hunters, because they basically decide that Will can't sit in the shack doing heroin for the rest of his life, and they have to do something about it. And one of the main ways that Riley and Will decide to fight BPO is they decide that they need to encounter more SENSE8s. They need to find more clusters and find more people like them to help stop BPO, who is hunting all of them. And so they end up throwing a huge rave, which is always fun because they have the big parties and they have all the characters show up at. And they end up encountering a couple different SENSE8s. One of the SENSE8s that they encounter is the old man of Hoya. He goes by Hoya, and Riley ends up talking with him a lot and becoming close with him. And he's one of the main ways where we learn what happened to BPO, where the SENSE8s came from, and why BPO is hunting them now. Because you find out that originally BPO was actually a good organization meant to help them, and they slowly shifted into finding all of the SENSE8s to be a threat to humanity and that they need to start being hunted. And Will and Riley eventually start trying to bring the fight back to BPO. At the end of the season, Wolfgang gets captured, and the culmination of Will and Riley's storyline is they organize everyone to get to London to get him back. Cafeus? Okay.
Yeah, you can say how you want.
No, I'm not going to say
Isn't that how they say it in the show?
I think so. Yeah,
and you always say Cafeus, and I'm like,
Cafeus.
Are you coughing? Are you okay?
One character's storyline that I didn't love as much was Cafeus' storyline. His storyline was the most separated, I think, from the rest of the groups. They would pop into his storyline, but he didn't really do too much interacting with any of the other characters. His storyline revolves around him running for political office, and there just wasn't a whole lot going on. There was a couple little action sequences, but besides that, it felt, I don't want to say pointless, but it didn't feel like it was going a whole lot of places. They actually recast him this season, and they recast him with a taller, I think, better looking and more muscular guy than he was before.
Yeah, except I think the guy from first season was much more charismatic and embodied the character more. And I don't know if that's just because he was the first, iteration of that character we saw, so I'm kind of connected to it. But this one, I don't know. I don't connect to him as much. Overall, I personally think this is one of the best and most original shows on Netflix. I think one of its most outstanding aspects is the diversity that's in the show. But we've got people from all over the globe, and we've also got a huge range of, ethnicities and a huge range of sexualities. You've got Alito, who is a gay man. You've got Nomi, who is a lesbian transgendered woman. We definitely think this is a show you should check out, especially if you're a lover of sci-fi and already have Netflix. It's fantastic, it's well directed, it's well written, and the acting is excellent.
That was our thoughts on Sense8 Season 2. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button down below, and if you like our content, hit subscribe, because we're going to constantly be bringing more stuff like this to our channel. If you've seen Sense8 and want to talk to us, you guys can follow us on our social media down below or in the comments section, and we hope to see you next time.